Okay, B'siyata Dishmaya, we are going to be starting in this video the 9th story in Sippurei Ma'asiot, the story of the Chacham and the Tam, the wise one and the simpleton, the complete one, the whole one. This is a story, it's known that we mentioned the 13 stories of Rebbe Nachman aligned with the 13 attributes of mercy. And this is the 9th story. And the 9th midah, the 9th trait of mercy is la'alafim, to the masters, to the champions of Esav, or to the thousands, and that is sweetened by way of notzer chesed, as Rebbe Nachman teaches in the 8th teachings of the Likutei Moharan. It's a different midah that's called notzer chesed. He holds back the loving kindness, holds back. What are the attributes of mercy? Notzer chesed la'alafim. He holds back chesed from who? From the alafim, from the alufim, from these champions, from these leaders. The main amtaka, the main sweetening that we have here, what's really going on, is from all of the wisdoms, all of the chochmah, the developed mind, and the being over smart that could cause pain to a person in life. Those are alufei Esav, the thousands, the masters, the champions of Esav that the Torah mentions. It says El alufei Esav. Yaakov had tribes, and Esav had these alufim, these champions, these masters, these rulers, and they confused the mind with all different chochmot, with all these different wisdoms and smart questions and strategies, which really aren't that smart at all. And for sure, this story has the ability to sweeten up and to hold back these alufim, these thoughts of Esav. And this is our job right now, to receive from Rebbe Nachman this amazing gift, and to learn this story as a tam and not as a chacham, as the simpleton and not as the wise one when we're going through it. We can't let all the different teachings that we're going to get into taint our mind and taint this story, and to add more pain and more distance. Because what's really being taught to us in this story is how to be happy at all times, how to be simple, how to find satiation and satisfaction in every little thing in life, how to always be able to have a heart that's willing to have gratitude to Hashem and to see the good and to be connected to Hashem. And to remember that for sure there is a king in the world, there is a ruler to the world. And the world's not just going through on autopilot, detached from any guidance. Everything is hashgacha pratit. And even after a person has fallen 1,000 times, al-elif, right, alufei, 1,000 times they've fallen, there's so much holiness in this story to arouse a person, to resurrect a person, to bring a person back to life. The 9th story, all of the stories of Sippurei Ma'asiot, they're coming to wake us up from our slumber, but this story is really, really a story that's able to get rid of all of the false thoughts that we have of some negative imagination of how far we are from Hashem, and to come back to being simply close to Hashem, just simply put, close to Hashem. So when a person falls into all these different wisdoms and all these different thoughts and strategies and thousands of different confusing thoughts, which is mainly the punishment. This is the punishment for your actions, that you get taken away from you the true light of simplicity. Sometimes we do all these different strategies and we try to, be super wise, even if it's in holy things, try to get closer to Hashem by way of this, that, and the other, when really all we need to do is be simple. And the outcome of trying to be wise, a lot of times, is just the negative feeling of not having that simplicity, not having that pure connection. It's become too sophisticated, it's become too wise, it's become too too rigorous, too structured, and not enough heart. There's a balance. Chacham vetam. That's the name of the story, right? Wise and simple. We have to find the balance between the two, where we're able to include the wisdom into the simplicity of our life, and everything will be equal from the beginning to the end. Because tam, what's tam in Lashon HaKodesh, in Hebrew? It means shalem, complete. Yaakov, ish tam, yoshev oalim. Yaakov was complete, and he sat in the tents. Why was he complete? His grandfather rectified love. His father rectified might. They both got rid of the negativity, right? Ishmael came out of Avram, the negative side of love, of chesed. Esav came out of Yitzchak, the negative side of might. And then Yaakov came out. He was complete, he was rectified, he was pure love and pure awe, pure might. Balanced together. That's tiferet, that's harmony, that's completion, that's wholesomeness. And by way of that, we can live a proper good life, a life of truth, a complete life. And when we go into this story, we want to make a prayer to Hashem that there's such deep teachings here. There's such deep wisdom that Rebbe Nachman put into this story and all of his stories, but specifically this one, to arouse us from a deep, deep slumber that we can find ourselves in. And there's no one else in the world that could take us out of it. And anything that we're going to learn, we're going to read the story first, just the story alone, without any commentary. Just go through the story purely. And when we read the story, we have to get lost in it. We have to try to find it our life, right? These are the stories like we learned in the previous introduction. These stories is the happenings of everything that's going on behind the scenes. How everything comes down, the light comes down to this world. It's an ancient light from the future. Ancient light from the future. That's what Rebbe Nachman says about the stories as well, right? So we have to pull all that we can from the pure language of the story, because that was the intention of Rebbe Nachman. And most of Sippurei Ma'asiot are printed without any commentary, without any learning. And it's never, even if you do have learning, and we are going to dissect this story, B'ezrat Hashem, and go through it, but even if you do that, the main thing is the story itself. The main thing is for you to read the story and for you to find yourself and to find lessons inside the story yourself. All of the 13 stories and all of the other stories that there are. There are also Sippurim Chadashim, there's newer stories. There's different ones that didn't make it into the 13, right? But the 13 stories are above all. And there's so much light in the story itself that you don't really need commentary. We all have lived life, and we can all find gems that can arouse us from reading these words. And after, when we get into the commentary, it will only be in order to keep us more and more simple and to bring us more to simplicity and not to make us too wise. Just to learn the ways of the simpleton, to learn how to take the wisdom and to infuse it into a simple life. Me personally, I'm just going to say this, one of my goals when I moved to Tzfat was to make my life more simple. And since I've been here, I've been trying to do that. Make life more and more and more simple. It's a good goal to have, because Hashem is simple. Spirituality is what's called mufshat, pashut. Simple, it's not made up, it's not a compound, it's not made up of many different elements. It's a simple light. So B'ezrat Hashem, let's get in to Maaseh Tet, the 9th story, Michacham Vetam, of a wise and a simpleton. B'ezrat Hashem, B'siyata Dishmaya, B'zchut Rebbe Nachman ben Fege. We're going to go in and we're going to find a lot of gems to bring us back to tshuva, to Hashem, to bring us closer to Hashem, to live a life of simplicity. Maaseh Shnei Ba'alei Batim Hayu Be'ir Achad. Story of two businessmen that were in, two house owners that were in one city. Vayu Gdolim Ba'ashirut. They were very, very wealthy. Vaya Lehem Batim Gdolim, and they had big houses. Vayulem Shnei Banim, and they had 2 sons. Lekol Echad Ben, each one of them had a son. Right? 2 boys, 1 for each person. V'lamdu Shneim B'cheder Echad, and they both learned in the same school. Ve'elu HaShnei Banim, Hayu Echad Mehem Bar HaVana. These two kids, one of them was a son of understanding. He had understanding, he was smart. Ve'echad haya tam, and one of them was tam. He was simple, whole, shalem. Lo shaya tipesh, not that he was stupid, a fool. Ela shaya lo sechel pashut ve'namuch. He just had a simple and low mind. ואלו שני הבנים היו אוהבים זה את זה מאוד. And these two kids really, really loved each other. They were best friends. This smart kid and this simple kid. אף על פי שאחד היה חכם, even though one was a חכם, was wise, ואחד היה תם, and the other was simple, ומוחו היה נמוך, and his brain was low. אף על פי כן, אהבו זה זה מאוד. Even though that was the case, they both loved each other very much. לימים התחילו השני בעלי בתים הנ"ל לרד. After days, with time, these two בעלי בתים, the fathers of these boys, they started to descend. וירדו מטה מטה, and they descended very, very far down, עד שאיבדו הכל ונעשו אביונים, until they lost everything and became impoverished. They became poor. ולא נשאר להם כי אם הבתים שלהם והבנים התחילו להתגדל. All they were left with was just their houses. And their kids are starting to grow. They're starting to get up, starting to grow up and to get older in age. אמרו האבות לבנים. The fathers said to the children, אין בידינו לשלם עבורכם, להחזיק אתכם. We don't have the means to support you anymore and to hold you in the house anymore, to support you. עשו לכם מה שתעשו. Do whatever you gotta do. הלך התם ולמד מלאכת רצן. The tam, the simple son, when he heard this message from his father, he went and he learned the job, the trade of being a ratzan. Ratzan. Retzu'ah in Hebrew means a strap. The meaning here is that he was a sandlar, that he was a shoemaker. Right? So, what do we have so far? These two rich people in a certain town both have big houses. They're businessmen, they have big houses. They each have a boy. The boys learn together in school. One is very wise, and the other one is just a simple kid. Not that he's a fool or he's a stupid kid, he's just a simple kid. And at a certain point, after a while, as they're growing up, both fathers start to lose their money, and they're left just with their houses. And after a while, they say to their kids, we can't support you anymore. You got to do what you have to do. The simple kid went straight away and learned how to be a ratzan. That word is going to be very important when we get into actually understanding this story. But for now, we're not going to get into any commentary. He learned to be a ratzan, which is a shoemaker. והחכם, the wise one, שהיה בר הבנה, לא היה רצונו לעסוק במלאכה פשוטה כזו. His desire was not to do something so simple like making shoes. וישב בדעתו, he sat in his mind and thought, שילך בעולם ויסתכל מה לעשות. I'll go and look into the world and see what is it that I want to do. Let me go taste from the world and see what is it that I want to do. הולך ומשוטט בשוק, he went and he walked around the market, וראה עגלה גדולה עם 4 סוסים. He saw a big wagon with 4 horses. שהייתה רצה והולכת ענה ואמר לסוחרים. It was going around from place to place, and he went up to the merchants and said, מאין אתם? Where are you guys from? They answered him, מוורשה, from Warsaw, from Poland. להיכן אתם נוסעים? And where are you traveling to? לוורשה. To Warsaw. We're going to Warsaw. He asked them, שמא אתם צריכים משרתים? Maybe you need a worker? ראו שהוא בר הבנה ומזרז. They saw that he was a smart, sharp kid. והוטב ביניהם, and it was good for them in their eyes for him to join them in their trip, in their trade. קיבלו אותו עמהם ונסע עמם ושימש אותם היטב מאוד על הדרך בבוא לוורשה. They received him, and he traveled with them, and he served them very well on the journey to Warsaw. Since he was a smart, wise kid, again, he went back to thinking, and he thought to himself, now that I'm in Warsaw already, why should I be connected to these people? Maybe there's a better place to be than with them. I'll look and I'll seek out. And he went to the shuk again. He went to the market now of Warsaw. He started to ask people around, hey, do you know this company I started to work for? Are they good people here in Warsaw? Are they respected? I met them in my town. I'm back here now with them. I'm starting to work with them. But now that I'm here, I'm just, trying to get a feel. Are they the right people, or is there maybe better people than them? These people, she'anashim halalu hem agunim, they're good people. V'tov liot etzlam, it's good to be with them. Ach shekashe me'od liot etzlam mechamat she'hamasa u'matan shalem hu lemirchakim me'od. They're good people, and it's nice to be with them, but it's hard to work with them because the way they do business, they have to travel very far. He went and he saw a store of like a clothing store. They would walk through the market and they would go and they're on their way. With their different types of what we call drip, dapper, right? With their hats and their nice shoes with the points sticking out, and all these different types of clothing and garments, that the way they walk, the clothing that they wear. And they saw that this is a wise, sharp person. And this was straight in his eyes. נאה וגם הדבר בביתו במקום הלך אל האנשים שהביאו ונתן להם תשועות חן ואמר להם שאין נוח לפניו להיות אצלם ועל מה שהביאו בעד זה שימש אותם בדרך. He sees now the way that the workers of the clothing store are, with their suits and all the swag that they have, and he says, listen, he goes back to the people that brought him to Warsaw and he says, guys, thank you so much for bringing me here. You're great people, but I think I found my place here in Warsaw, and as payment for bringing me here, that's all the help I gave you on the way. Everything I did on the way to help out and to make the trip easier, that was my payment. Thank you very much. I'm continuing on. I'm going to go work in J.C. Penney's in Men's Warehouse. והלך ועמד עצמו אצל בעל הבית אחד ודרך משרתים שבתחילה צריכים להיסחר. He went and he started to work at this new job. And the way is, when you start a new job, you have to do the dirty work first. You have to work from the bottom up. You have to do the hard work. And after that, you come to higher levels. The owner, his manager, would give him very, very hard work. He would send him to these lords and these different rich people, and he would send him with merchandise like a worker. Right? You put your arms out. How does a merchant textiles, right? You put your arms out and you lay all of these different fabrics on your arm, right? And so it's heavy. You could have 20, 30 different fabrics on your arm, and you have two arms, right? And you have to stand there while he looks and takes his time, and you're just standing there, right? It was very hard for him, this work. Sometimes he had to really go up high hills with all of this heavy clothing, and this work was hard for him. And he settled himself, he sat down and he thought. He was a philosopher, he was a thinker, a person of wisdom. Why am I doing this job? Why am I doing such hard work? The main thing is just to get to the purpose. To get married and to make money. To have the sustenance I need to get through life. I don't have to be worried about that still. The purpose. I'm not at the purpose yet. I'll have time for that later. In the coming years, for me now, it's good to just go on trips, to travel the world, to go visit different countries, to satiate my eye from the world. What do we have so far? He didn't just go get a job. He went to go look, what's the right career for me? What's the right thing for me? Let me go taste from the world and see. Went to the market, found some people, thought it would be a good idea to travel with them, use them to get to another city. As soon as he got there, maybe there's something better. Left the people that did a good thing for him. Started this new job. Now he has to work from the bottom. Doesn't like to work from the bottom. He's a smart person. Doesn't want to do heavy work. Maybe there's something better. Starts to think, what is the purpose of life? To get married and to have a family. I'm not there yet. I don't want to get married and have a family yet. I just want to travel the world. He went inside the shuk, the market, and he saw merchants traveling with a big agala, with a big wagon. And he asked them, where are you guys traveling to? To Livorno. Could you take me maybe there with you? Livorno, right in Italy. Now he's in Warsaw. He's about to travel to Italy. They received him, they took him there. And from there, he started to travel to Italy. From there to Spain. Through all these travels, a few years have passed. He became very wise now because he had seen many cultures. He traveled to different countries. He knows of the world much more now. So he sat with himself again to settle his mind to think. Now is the proper time to start looking at the purpose of life, of getting married and having a child, having a house and making money to support it. He started to think with his philosophic mind, what should I do to achieve that goal? What should be my career? How do I get there? It was straight in his mind. It became clear to him to learn how to be a tzoref, a jeweler, a jewel maker, right? The person that works with gold, the goldsmith. It's a big, respectable job. Chochmah, there's a wisdom to it, right? Working with gold, there's a wisdom there. It's also a wealthy kind of job. It's a high, white-collar job, as we call them, right? And he's a smart person, he's a philosopher. It won't take him even a few years to learn how to do it. In a quarter of a year, right? He already got, just 3 months, he already got a download of how to be a gold craftsman. How to make jewelry out of gold. Melting it, forming it. And he became even better than the person that taught him. And afterwards, he settled his mind. Even though I have this tool in my hand, even though I have this job in my hand, and I know now how to make gold into jewelry. This is a nice, wealthy, respectable job with wisdom to it. אף על פי כן, אין די לי בזה היום חשוב זאת. פן בזמן אחר, יוחשב דבר אחר, והלך להעמיד עצמו אצל שטיין שניידר. He said, Now maybe gold is good. But who knows what's going to be? Maybe one day it won't be so precious, it won't be so important. I need a better job. I need to do something that's more rare, that's more high, that's more needed. So he went to go learn how to polish gems, to work with diamonds and emeralds and sapphires. And because of his understanding and his mind, he also learned how to do that in a very short period of time. Again, just a couple months, a quarter of a year. And afterwards, he thought to himself again with his philosophic mind, all the different deep thoughts that he does and the thinking that he does. Even though I have these two trades in my hand, I know how to make gold jewelry and I know how to polish gems and cut gems. Maybe both of them won't be important in a few years. AI is going to take over. It's better to just learn a different craft. Thought, I need to learn something that's important for the whole entire world. And he thought with his mind, his philosophical mind, what's needed by the whole entire world? What's going to be important no matter what? I'm going to learn how to be a doctor. It's an important thing, it's needed always. First you have to learn Latin. If you want to be a doctor back in that day, you have to learn Latin. chochmot, philosophy, began because he's wise, because he's a philosopher. It also took him just a little bit of time to learn Latin. And he also became a doctor very shortly and became a big doctor, a big thinker, a big philosopher, a big speaker in the world in a very short time. After a while, the world just lost its importance to him. The world started to lose, right? It's like nothing, it's all vanity. He's an amazing craftsman, he's a philosopher, he's a doctor. Then every person, like, who are you? Look how much I am, look how much I can do. Every simple person that comes by him is... And he thought to himself again, he sat himself down and he thought, the time has come, we got to get married. Let's get to the purpose of life, let's get married. And he said, if I marry a woman from here, according to what we know in the story right now, he's in Livorno, right? He's in Italy. If I marry a woman here, who knows what's going to be of me? Who knows how much I've come to, where I came from, and who's going to know who I am now? I'm going to go back to my hometown so that everyone should see what's become of me. That I'm this doctor, that I'm this gem polisher and cutter. I know how to make jewelry. I was a little boy, and now I've come to such great heights. He went and he traveled to his house. And he had a lot of hardship on the path. Since he was so wise, so smart, he didn't have anybody to talk to. There's no one that he could really entertain a conversation with. And he couldn't find a hotel that was to his standards, to his likings. And he had a lot of hardship. And now we're going to throw out the story of the wise one, and we're going to go to the story of the simpleton. But that's in the next class. What did we learn so far? Two rich people living in a town. They had big houses. They each had a son. The sons learned in the same school. One was very wise, one was very simple. He wasn't stupid. He just had a simple mind. He was just a simple, regular kid. After a while, these fathers started to lose their money. All they were left with was their houses. And they told the kids, we can't support you anymore. You guys got to do what you have to do. The simple son went and got a job. Any job. He learned how to make shoes. He was a ratzan, which again we haven't revealed the secret of what that means yet, but we will get to it. And the wise one said, no, I'm going to go learn from the world. I'm going to go travel for years. I'm going to go learn about the world. And he went to the market and found some merchants, asked them, where are you guys from? Where are you going to? They said, Warsaw. He went with them, traveled, got there, didn't like it, thought maybe there's better people than them. They're good people, but maybe there's something better. Went, started to work a different job, didn't like it. It wasn't so much maybe better. Thought, I'm smart, why am I doing such heavy work? Went to go learn how to make jewelry. Went to learn how to make finer jewelry. Always asking himself questions, and maybe there's something better, maybe there's something else. His mind is always working in a way of wisdoms that leads him to ask these questions at every stage when things get a little bit uncomfortable. Maybe I should do this, maybe I should do this. And then he gets to a point, he says, what's the point of working? Working is to have a wife, to have a house, to make money. I'm not there yet. Let me go travel around the world. And once he travels around the world, he starts to become wiser and wiser and wiser. Becomes a doctor. And even that, right? Now he wants to get married, and when he has the money coming down, he knows how to make jewelry. He knows how to polish gems and diamonds. He's now a doctor, can speak Latin, a few different languages, traveled the world. He wants to get married. But if I get married to a person out here who doesn't know who I am, then my story wouldn't have been told. No one would know of me. So let me go home. Let me go back to my hometown. People will see what levels I've come to from such a young boy to now a man with wisdom and with career and with money and wealth. And I'll get married there. Someone will know and recognize my story. And when we get back into it, we're going to learn about what was going on in the Simpleton's life in this period. Zat Hashem, I'm sure, again, we don't want to go into too much commentary, but I'm sure that from that you can already understand a lot, if you really do think about it a little bit. Zat Hashem Itbarach, we'll continue later.